Hey everyone, welcome to Steph and Key TV. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you thought of today's video. All right, Potomac, let's get into it. So we pick up where we left off. Hotbox, Sing Sing. Everybody was like, what? What is Sing Sing? So then it gets immediately interrupted because the chef comes back out to introduce the next course. So they just start eating as if like nothing just happened. And then Gisele bursts out, what is Sing Sing? Is that another lie you making up? And Karen doesn't have a proper response. So they're just continuing to go back and forth. And then they calling each other liars. Mia jumps in and says, okay, like I'm just meeting Gisele for the first time, but I feel like she has a good heart. And I'm with Wendy, like, why are you defending Gisele? You came with Karen. Like, wouldn't you support Karen, who brought you here? Okay, Mia. And then Karen says, like, I used to think the same thing. And in her confessional, she's like, I liked Gisele when I first met her too, but give her 5 minutes and she'll show her darkness. I agree because, like I said in the previous episode, like I binge watched Potomac because I had never seen never seen Potomac Housewives until last year, and I binge watched all of the seasons last year to catch up to season 5, and I liked Gisele her first season, and then after that, like I did not like her anymore. Like it was like a shift, and I didn't like Karen her first season, and then it just switched, and I have not liked Gisele since. I mean, she's messy, like, great for the show, whatever, but she is terrible. Karen, I love you, but you're a mess. But Karen says the issue started between her and Gisele when Ray, a few years ago, said that Giselle's a beautiful woman, but, like, you gotta find a relationship now because this beauty's gonna fade. And in Giselle's confessional said that Ray will be dead and buried before this beauty ever fades. And Karen interpreted that as Gisele wishing Ray dead. And I love Karen, bitch. She is such a mess. Like, what? Everybody's like, no. And Robin jumps in and she's like, that's not even like what she was interpreting. And she's like, and then why did you say something then? And Karen's like, well, my kids were very young. The shady editors go back to, I guess, around this time when Gisele said this, and her daughter, Karen's daughter, was like 19, and her oldest son was like 27. So it was like, Karen, come on. But you know, like, Karen's a mess, but Robin always has to jump in to defend Gisele. Like, she's her bodyguard. And Wendy kind of is like, okay, like, you know, let this conversation be between Gisele and Karen. Like, Gisele can defend herself. Like, Robin, she's like, I don't want a gang up. And Robin's like, it's not a gang up. But it is, Robin, because you and Gisele always tag team Karen. And then Karen snaps back and says, look, I'm trying to focus on my wedding, and I'm going to be walking down the aisle soon. When is your wedding? Robin's like, after COVID, when's yours? And she's like, it will be soon, in a protected environment, in a loving relationship. So then Giselle's like, okay, so she's trying to say that you don't have a loving relationship. So they're just like all in the mix. Robin tries to jump in again and is like, what are you saying? And Wendy's like, the next course is here. And you can tell Robin is so flustered. This is the problem with Robin. She's always jumping in to defend Gisele. And then when Karen goes off on her, or whoever it is that goes off on Robin for jumping in where it's none of her business, Gisele never has her back, so she gets ripped to shreds and then is just sitting there all flustered and can't defend herself. Like, Robin, just stay out of it. Stay out of it. I mean, that's what you do best. like you bring nothing to the show except for being Gisele's bodyguard. Just keep your mouth shut and you won't have to be going toe-to-toe with Karen all the time. Like, it's so unnecessary because you really have no reason to have beef with Karen. Like, you and Gisele are the ones who are always coming after her. Do we forget, like, the pizza incident? The tax issues? Like, Robin, shut up. Because you remember last time you had something to say about Karen. That stuff came right back on you with the tax stuff. So Wendy finally admits that she got her butt done. I'm like, girl, why couldn't you just admit this last episode? And then they eat the titty cupcakes and all is well. We head over to Mia's place and we see like her penthouse on the harbor. My dad's side of the family is in Maryland, so I know the harbor well, and it's like beautiful. Her penthouse is beautiful, and she's just juggling, you know, mommy work home life. She has 3 kids, 2 with her current husband and then 1 with her previous relationship. And I just like, I feel like she's a boss. She's running the businesses now. Her husband was previously running their chiropractic franchises, and now she's running the businesses, and he's staying at home, which I feel like is great. I mean, he's older, he can stay home with the kids, like really like settle down some, while she's young, fresh, running those businesses. I still don't believe that she's 36 though. And we just see her, you know, doing her thing. And she asks her daughter, like, who runs the world? And you would expect, you know, because Beyonce, girls, but she says bad guys. And I have to agree with the child. Bad guys do run the world. She's so wise at her young age. And then we just see like a dynamic shift with her husband, because he's staying home and he's not as understanding about her like being on the phone and doing calls while they're having family time. And she's like, he needs to get used to it because he did the same thing when he was in the business. So, you know, I mean, I feel like it's harder for men to understand, even though like they were doing the same thing. They don't understand women like being bosses and running shit. We head over to Candice. She's picked up some acting gigs and she's got like a lot on her plate. She's got acting, she's back in school getting her MBA, and she's doing her singing career, and Chris is managing her right now. I feel very much like her mother. Good luck with that. They are butting heads, and I feel like we're just so used to Candice being like the tyrant in the relationship, but it seems like Chris has got some tyrant in him too, so have fun. So Ashley's mom visits her, and she's just telling her that like things are going great with her and Michael. He takes her phone calls on the first ring. I'm like, okay, if that's something to be excited about. They've hired a part-time nanny because of last year when she had Dean, she suffered from postpartum, so they just Michael said recommended her getting help. So when they showed Daisy coming over to watch Dean, he was super excited, like way more excited than he was to see Michael. I feel like that should tell you something. And then Ashley decides to gross us all out by talking about her sex life with Michael, and I mean, because pregnancy is uncomfortable to like during sex, and so she's just talking about different holes and stuff, and I'm just like, girl, gross. None of us wanted to hear that. None of us want to ever hear that again. Ever. Anything to do sexually with Michael. So Robin visits Gisele's new home. It's the first time she got to see the home since the pandemic. And I agree with her completely. Like, the inside of the West Wing of Gisele's house is amazing. Her bedroom is huge. I love it. The closet. That beautiful closet with all of those ugly clothes that Gisele wears. I loved it though. I love the closet, but the inside is great. But like Robin said, the outside doesn't make any sense. It's horrible. It's like she said, it's like a house attached to another house. Girl, no. So Gisele is talking about her fake relationship with Jamal. She finally admits that Jamal lives in the phone. Give Karen her flowers. And then they call Candice and tell Candice about like Wendy talking about her boobs and lying about the butt, and then admitting to the butt after Mia gave her laundry list of procedures. So then they talk about meeting Mia for the first time and hearing about her clit. They get off the phone with Candice and they're just talking about Karen again. Gisele wants an apology. You're never gonna get one, so move on. And Robin is mad that Karen is always bringing up Juan. I feel like Juan is like an easy target for any of the ladies, because like that's like Robin's trigger, and she really has nothing else going on, so like it's just easy to talk about her relationship with Juan, because it's been since season 1 of this. That's her storyline, this drawn out, never ending, will they, won't they relationship with Juan. So it's an easy target for Karen. And Gisele brings up like Ray again and talking like, this is why you and Karen don't get along. Y'all stay talking about each other and each other's relationships. Gisele, like, you're never gonna get an apology. So we're with Karen and Ray. They are making up their bed and Ray's talking about why they got so many pillows. Then they go back to last season when Karen was talking about her vibrating pillow. And then as they're leaving the room, they zoom in on the pillows all dramatic. I'm like, the editors are so shady. Like, why would she have her pillow, the vibrating pillow, just out on the bed? Like, stop it. So then Karen and Ray are talking. Karen admits that the party went left with Gisele, even though Gisele started it. And she admits that she went in a little too hard on Gisele and she just doesn't know like where to go from here, but she wants to throw a love party and invite everyone to offer an olive branch and start fresh. Wendy's family visits and they're just sitting down to eat a meal. Her mother says that, I mean, after she's seen Wendy's great new boobs, her mother now wants a boob job and she wants the kids to pay for it. I was like, all right, girl, ask for what you want. And so Wendy decides to tell her family that she has started a candle business. And I feel like she's getting further and further away from being a professor. I mean, it just shows that she just got these 4 degrees for her parents and to brag about it on every episode. Because it just, like, she wants nothing to do with being a professor. I feel like she, like, ran to this show so she could get away from that profession. She wants to be on TV doing commentary and being a real housewife, and now she wants to start this candle business. So it just shows that she never really wanted to be a professor, and this is like it seems like she's more of a creative type, and this is what she's always wanted to do. Be careful with those finances though, girl, because I know she's like starting a new business. I wish she had spoken to her husband first and got business advice, because he is a lawyer, I believe, before just putting money into it. Because I mean, use the help where you can get it. You don't want to be like, I hate to keep bringing her up. I mean, even though the show does, Monique with like the podcasts and like pouring money into that and having not really much to show for it as far as the podcast. So be careful, girl. Karen is visiting Ashley. Ashley's on the phone talking about getting her placenta so that she can take some capsules for it. Karen freaks out about Ashley eating her placenta. She was like, when I had my natural births, I didn't want to have anything to do with my placenta. No, thank you. So, I mean, to each their own. You gotta do what's right for your body. Karen and Ashley talk about the other night. Ashley asked her what she meant about Sing Sing, referring to Gisele. Karen lies and says that she didn't know what she meant and she had to look it up. And she was like, I just said it because it sounded good. Girl, because on Watch What Happens Live, you admitted to the fact that you thought it was the loony bin, and allegedly that's where we heard Gisele went to after her tumultuous relationship with Jamal and him cheating and stuff. So I don't believe you, Karen. You knew what you meant. Karen invites Ashley to her love party. Ashley goes to get baby Dean. When he comes out, he sees Karen and starts crying. To be fair, he had just woken up from a nap, so you just never know how kids are going to act after a nap. Karen flees. She's like, well, I guess it's time for me to go, and leaves. And then Ashley throws shade. She's like, it's okay, Dean. You just saw a new face and didn't know who it was. And she's like, well, Karen always has a new face. Shade. Gisele has dinner with her daughters and she tries to give them some relationship advice. They ain't having it. She talks about not dating. Oh, she talks about rappers and they're like all into it, dating rappers. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Gisele, you're such a great role model. She talks about dating NBA players, and she's like, because I've dated so many. I'm like, girl, get over yourself. Ugh, she's so annoying. She's such a narcissist. Then she talked about how one of these NBA players she was dating blew out his knee, and she had to go through the highs and lows with him, and she was like, oh, it's too much. And their daughters are like, that's what relationships are for. You be like an emotional support for them, and you be there for them. I'm like, how are your daughters way more emotionally mature than you are? Like, it's kind of sad and ridiculous, and it just explains the whole fake relationship with Jamal, because I'm like, this is she's trying to give them advice and they're dragging the mess out of her, talking about she has horrible relationships, horrible boyfriends, and she was like, well, there's my advice, and they were like, we're not taking it, you need our advice. And I agree, like, this is terrible. And I don't know. Don't know, but I feel like the girls will be fine because they definitely seem a lot more mature than Gisele as far as relationships, but you just never know how like seeing your mother's terrible relationships are going to affect your relationships. So pray for those girls. So we're finally at Karen's party. Wendy and Mia and Ashley are there. Wendy asks about Robin. Karen says that Robin declined the invite and Gisele's not coming. I'm like, what did you expect, girl? You got into arguments with both of them. Of course they weren't coming. And Mia throws shade at Gisele, and she's like, oh, well, this is a couples thing, right? So, implying that her ass wouldn't have been able to come anyways. But I feel like it wasn't just a couples thing. Like Karen said, if you don't have anyone, you can come anyway. But they all get up to get some food. All the husbands are talking. The women get some food. They sit down, and Ashley is without Michael. They ask where Michael is, and she said he's with the baby. Yeah, right. We know the nanny is with the baby. Michael is not watching that baby by himself. Candice shows up in her confessional. I just feel like she's being dramatic. She's talking about having stab wounds in her back still from her relationship with Karen. I don't know. I feel like all of these women have stabbed each other in the back. I just feel like she's being a little dramatic. I don't think what Karen did was as bad. I don't know, but I feel like they can move on. They really can. And I feel like they have a much better friendship than her and Gisele and Robin. Give me a break. But Candice invites Karen over to her new place, so that's good. And we'll see how that goes. They all introduce, like, Ray is so shady. He's like, go ahead, say hello to the ladies. He's like, you know Ashley, don't you? They just say hi. They don't hug. Candice and Wendy hug, and then she meets Mia. They hug. And they start talking about, oh, Wendy shows Candace her new booty, and they're talking about the procedures and stuff. They asked Ashley if she's nervous about giving birth, and she said yes, because it just hurts so much. And Mia says, like, well, you know, that all of my pregnancies were cesareans. And then Ashley's like, well, I thought you got your clit done. And she's like, yes. Wendy asked her age again, and she's like, well, I had to go back and check my ID, but I'm 36. Girl, you're lying. Everybody knows how old they are. You were not 36. But Ashley's like, well, I thought that's why you got your clit done, because of all the vaginal pregnancies. And she's like, no, me and my husband just get it in a lot. And Ashley again is like, say what now? And Candice is like, so the bean is getting beat up? She's like, I just met this woman. Mia. So Candice brings up the fact that she heard about the argument between Gisele and Karen. Karen's like, I just want to move on. And Mia is like, that's because you're a real boss. And Wendy's like, yeah, but didn't you say Gisele had great character? And she's like, well, that's before I heard her wishing death upon someone's husband. And it was just like, okay, oh my gosh. So, but then Wendy's like, but then you asked for her phone number after the dinner was over. And Mia's like, well, I was trying to lighten the mood, which is what you should have done because it was your home. So then Ashley and Wendy just say, like, hey, it just seemed a little weird that you were sticking up for Gisele out of nowhere when you just met her and you came with Karen. You should be more supportive with your friend. And Mia's just, which I agree, but Mia's like, well, why do you guys care if she doesn't care? And then Wendy's like, well, if you shut up, maybe you can hear what we have to tell you. And then Mia's like, you don't need to tell me to shut up. So they start going back and forth. Mia's got her hand in Wendy's face, and Wendy's like, don't put your hand in my face. And Mia's like, well, it's in your face. What are you gonna do about it? Woo! And Wendy did exactly what I thought she was gonna do. Nothing. You ain't gonna do nothing, girl. Because you know better. No fights on this show. So then Candice is just like, yeah, it's probably best just to, like, not get involved in the other disputes. And they kind of squash it. Wendy is like, that was so rude. And I'm just, like, over Wendy and Mia in this situation. I did like the fact that she was like, well, my hand's in your face. What are you gonna do about it? But I didn't like the fact that they, like, something is off with them. That happens a lot on these shows. It's just something. And I'm not really on either of their sides, but I am here for the drama. So then the couples play the newlywed game. I thought it was fun. We get to learn, like, a little bit more about them, even though, like, we always have to learn about their sexual preferences and past. Like, I don't want to know that about them. Ew. They're having a good time answering the questions. We see some flashbacks to stuff. And then we get to the question about which other woman in their group would the husbands want to be with. Ray says Katie, and everybody's like, Katie? She's not even a housewife anymore. But Karen's like, okay, Ray, I'm watching you. And then we head over to Eddie and Wendy, and he put something. Wendy says, it looked like you had Mia on there. And she tells him, like, And so he erases it and puts NA. And so I was like, Girl, I'm with Mia. You a little too insecure. Like, don't play the game then if you don't want to know the answer. And they try to fake like, oh, he said none. Girl, he was about to put Mia and you knew it. And you said it. We got the subtitles. We know he was about to put Mia. Girl, stop. That was like so messy. But then we get to the question about like where they met each other. And then Mia and her husband say the strip club. And then she says that she was a bartender at the strip club. Nobody believes it. None of us believe it. Girl, bye. You were not no bartender at the strip club. No. No. Candice is like, girl, if you were a bartender at the strip club, then I'm a white man. Because nobody's believing it. But Eddie and Wendy end up winning. They had a good time. Wendy and Mia do not like each other at all. This feud is gonna go on. But that is the end of the episode. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, I thought, like, I had a lot more fun with this episode than I did the first one, so I feel like we're moving in the right direction. We've got a feud going already. We've got two going, Karen and Gisele and Wendy and Mia. So some good drama going on, but let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button. It really, really helps our channel. And hit that notification bell so you're in the know when I release a new video, and subscribe. I would love to have you a part of Steph and Key TV. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.